Hi everybody, welcome to the Uptiquing Painting and Ceramics home video. We're offering something new. This is our 22-inch welcome door hanger. It's an interchangeable. The door hanger comes with one interchangeable. If you want, you can purchase extras. So we're going to paint this together. It's the first time I've ever done a painting and a video as I go. I have not painted this before, so we're going to do it together. In your kit, you'll have the 22-inch round. You'll have these pieces here that we're going to paint and then glue on. You'll have the welcome. You are going to have some ribbon to make a bow at the end if you want. It comes with some twine for hanging. Your paints will come in little cups like this. We're going to paint with some sponges, some makeup pads here, and some brushes. And we're going to get started. So I'm going to take these and put them aside. I'm going to do my background first so that it is dry. And I think I'm going to use a little bit of white. So I'm going to dispense some white from here. Yours will be in the cups. And I'm going to use the sponge brush. We're going to do this together and see how it goes. Less is more in the beginning. So I'm just going to kind of brush it on. I'm going to kind of do more of a farmhouse rustic. Okay, it seems to be going on very nicely. Less is more, so if you do a little in the beginning, you can always add, but it's harder to take away. I'm really excited about these. We are going to be offering these in so many different subjects. So I'm doing this at home today, so if you hear the dog or one of my kids, they're homeschooling, well, virtual schooling, I should say. So I did my first pass. I'm going to go back and do a second pass. And adding more where I want there to be more. And as you go, you'll get opacity with the white. So in my sunroom. Not at the studio, at the store. Such a gorgeous day out. These will be on our website as well as kits if you want to take them home. We ship. Tell your friends about it. So you're designing this piece. Your masterpiece. If you want to have more wood showing through, then you don't have to do so many passes. If you want to have it more opaque, then you can paint a little bit more opaque. I kind of like the way this is coming out. Pretty cute. I'm going to get the edges a little bit more. Just kind of working around it. Could also use a hair dryer if you want. In between, it'll help with the opacity of the paint. Kind of don't want mine super white. Harder you press, the more you'll cover. Making sure I don't have any start or end points on my piece, right in the center, so making sure I go all the way to the edges. I got a little end point over there. So you just gotta be mindful of the edges. Okay, I kind of like that. It looks like shiplap. So if you want, you can, you know, get into some of those middles there and then kind of brush them out. If you like the brown in there, you can leave it as it is. Okay, looking good. All right, I think I'm gonna leave it the way it is. I'm gonna put this aside. We'll give you a couple of them in the kit so you won't have to worry. If you run out, you could always wash them and reuse them. Okay, so I'm gonna let that dry. I'm gonna set it aside for a minute. Okay. Put this over here. Okay, so now we have our pieces. Okay, so you're gonna take another paper plate. We'll give you a couple in your kits. I'm gonna do my house, excuse me, a little bit of a teal color here if it wants to come out. Okay. All right, and I'm gonna take another one of these brushes and I am going to paint this. I might add a little bit of white to this. A little dark for me. Sneak some of my white over here. Just kind of mix colors a little. Okay. So I am, you know, kind of covering this pretty good. Going up and down. You can go side to side if you want. I chose to go up and down. Getting in there. Okay. Okay, I'm going to let that dry. And I'll put my brush aside. Okay, so I'm going to do my letters black. I'm going to take a little bit. I think this is black. If it wants to come out. I don't know if it wants to come out. There we go. Okay, I have a little black. And you're going to get these makeup pads in your containers there, in your kits. So we're actually going to use our makeup pads. I'm going to put this up here so I don't get any black on it. And we're going to take a little bit on our sponge. And we're just going to brush it on. Super easy. It's good. It doesn't really clump. Your hands will get a little dirty. If you want, you can put some gloves on. And going over this. I'm going to let it dry and we'll give it another pass. If you could see it because my tablecloth is black, but you can put newspaper down if you want if you're at home. Okay, so I did my W. Now I'm going to do the rest of my welcome. So for each of our take-home kits like this, we will have a picture, a finished picture that is attached to it. We will have our videos on our YouTube channel so that you can follow along at your own pace. You can always pause it if I go too fast or fast forward it if I'm going too slow. Okay. Do the other Okay, so I did that part. Get the edges there if something is kind of white. Alright, so I did that part. Now I am going to do my larger letters. This is the M. You can tell it doesn't use too much paint. If you go a little bit of light, go on the lighter side of it, it'll dry faster, and then you can go ahead and give it a second pass to make it really opaque. If you want to see some of that wood coming through it, you could always just go a little bit lighter and don't pass over the entire part of your letter. You could change the color if you didn't want to do them black. The black against the white background, though, has a nice contrast, so that looks good. Okay. I'm going to do the H. It does go pretty fast, and I'm kind of painting a little bit fast, but you take your time. My hands aren't too messy. It is much easier than using a brush with these makeup pads, I will say that. Let's put it back there. Okay, and now I'm going to my E. And again, I am going really light so that it will allow me to make another pass of black, because I actually do want my black pretty black. Okay, so I did my first coats. I'm going to go back to the first one that I did, and you can see it really does make it much more saturated in color when you go back over it. Really nice. You can see the difference there. And this is going to be my final. I don't think I'm going to need 3 coats on this. This is pretty opaque. Okay, so that's my W. Just making sure I have no clumps anywhere. That's going to be my final for that. And then I'm going to go back to the second piece that I did, which was the rest of the welcome. And you can see, you really can see some of that wood coming through. Once you put this second coat on, it really does cover it. Really nice. It's good because you really don't see any brush strokes in this. It's very different looking than that, so it's a nice combination. Okay. And you can see I'm not really, I've had a nice douse of paint on my palette there, but I'm not really using too much black. So you can tell it's not really a messy coverage. It's a clean paint. I love it. So you can hang these on your front door. You can put them inside your house. You can lean them on the mantle if you wanted. Let's make sure I got a couple little finger marks there. Okay, then I think I did my M first. I'm going to go back over that. So quiet here. Okay. looking good, looking good. Do the other side of this. Okay, don't see really any clumps there. You know, just go back over, try and just take a little look at it. Okay, now I have my H. You know, make sure they all have even coverage so that nothing stands out opposed to the next piece that's next to it. All right, so far so good. Not bad designing together. All right. All right, and then I have my E. So if you're going to hang this on your door outside, if it's under an overhang, you really don't have to seal it. If you really want to, you can just do a spray polyacrylic. If it's going to be out in the elements, then I would recommend a spar urethane clear. All right. Alrighty, so we're done with all of our black. I'm just going to make sure I covered this little bit right here. Looks good. We're going to put this aside. And I'm going to put these over here, and I'm going to bring my circle back. All right, so now my circle is dry. I'm going to take a little look at it, make sure that it's everything that I want. Let's see, back to that. I might add a little bit more white. Okay. So I'm going to make mine just a little bit whiter. Aside. Okay, so we're going to try something. Let's see. Get another sponge. Oops. Okay, I'm going to kind of experiment here. Okay, so I have a little bit of antiquing glaze and a baby white. Ooh. So let's see. I don't make a mess first. How this comes out, I'm going to stir it up. All right, so we're going to use just a little bit because a little bit goes a long way. All right, so I have a little bit on my brush, and I'm going to kind of I'm just going in from the edges. You can see I'm using very little. So I'm going to take my baby white and I'm just going to blend it a little bit. So you do not want to use a lot, because if you use a lot, it is going to make your painting seem very muddy. So a little bit goes a long way. So I have just a little bit on my brush. And I'm going to pull in, kind of accentuate these a little bit. So the longer that this wax sits on your piece, the more intense the color is going to be. So the idea is kind of to work a little bit fast. Not fast, super fast, but. And then pull it in. You can see I used very, very little. It really does add to it. Kind of like it. You can see I'm working with two hands. I'm going to come up here and get around the holes a little bit and just move it out. On that line there. Might even make it a little darker. So you're really getting the details with this. Super easy to do. It's really not hard. I'm doing this, designing it as I'm going. I have never painted this one before. So we're doing it together. We're experimenting together. You know, you do a little bit at a time. So that if you don't like it, it's easy to fix, and you could always add more if you think it's too light. But going too heavy, too fast, will create it to be muddy. I love it. This would even be nice hung on the wall. Okay. This one sits, and that one's a little bit darker. Get a couple more in there. All right. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. I'm going to do just one more little stroke of it over here. A lot of my brush, though. I think it looks pretty even. Maybe up here needs a little. All right, what do you think? I think we did pretty good. Okay. we're good. All right, so I'm done with that. I don't want to do too much. I don't want it to be too dark. Oops. So now the other thing I want to do is kind of want to antique this a little bit. This guy here. So I'm going to take a little bit of that same stuff, and I'm going to get the edges. I'm going to make kind of long marks so it kind of looks a little Barney. Okay. And then I'm going to pull those long, I'm crazy about that one in the middle. There we go. Oh, I love it. Okay. Kind of, if you grab the edges like this, the glaze will get caught up on the ridge. Okay. All right, looks good. Make these edges down here a little darker. Okay, so that's going to take a little bit to dry. So we're going to leave that to the edge. So now we have our pieces here. Now, when you go to put these back on, if you painted really light, they should be pretty dry. So you just want to make sure that if you're really heavy with your paint, there's no paint left on the underside, because if you go to put it on here, it's going to mark it up. Okay. Just glaze. Okay, so we're just going to kind of put them in place where we think they should go. I think this looks so cute. Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay. And then, okay, so let's put this here. So now when you do this, you want to kind of space them because either if you're using these, just one of these, and you're not going to interchange it, then you don't have to get too fussy, because you don't have to worry about different sizes going in and out of there. But if you're going to be using other ones, we have a camper, let's say, you just want to make sure that you've left enough room and they look evenly enough spaced in between so that you can change these out. So far we have a camper, we have a 4-leaf clover, we have a pumpkin, this is for a sun or a baseball, we have a snowflake, another circle, we have a tree, we have the states, here's New York State, we have a football, and we have a heart. You can always add those on. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. You don't want to get any closer to the edges here, and I think you want to kind of look above it, make sure it's pretty straight. You can kind of eyeball the spacing here. If you want to get really technical, you could take a little ruler and just make a little pencil mark. Just make sure that when you go to put them on, that you are placing them where the pencil mark is. Okay, so we're going to give you some E6000 glue in your kit. If you're going to be making them with us in the store, we are going to be actually nailing them in with a pin nailer. So, but for right now, I don't have my compressor up here, so I'm going to glue this. And I think that looks pretty good. The other thing is we're going to be giving you some different ribbons in this kit, so you can make a bow with it. So what we're going to do, take enough of this out. And so once we make these bows, you just want to make sure that your welcome is down far enough so that if you have a nice hefty bow up there, it will not cover your welcome sign. So we'll get to that after, but first I want to glue these down. So I'm going to put a little E6000 glue in my plate. You'll have small tubes of them. I just have a really big tube, and I forgot let me take an old brush. I forgot a Q-tip. So we're going to take a little glue, and I am not going to glue this one down because I'm going to use this as an interchangeable. So if you're using it as an interchangeable, we're going to give you Velcro for these. So I'm going to start with my H. And I'm going to just put 4 dabs on mine. And this will dry in about an hour's time, solid dry. Okay, so I'm going to push those down. This is so cute. I love it. Okay, and then I have that like right about there. Okay, so now I'm going to take another 4 scoops. I'm going to put one over here, put one down here, one there, one there, one here. Okay. Alrighty, so now I'm just going to kind of eyeball across. I think that looks pretty good. Right. Just slide it over a smidgen. I'm going to push him down. Of course, make sure your hands don't have any paint on them. Okay, and then I'm going to do my E. Just putting my little scoops of glue. I'm going to get one right there. Okay, and again, I'm going to eyeball. I think that looks pretty good. My son's in the kitchen. Okay. All right, so we have that down. This I'm going to leave as an interchangeable. And now I'm going to do the welcome. So I'm going to remember that this L is kind of right in between those two. And I'm going to get another squirt of glue. Okay, now I'm going to put a little glue on each of these. Okay. And I'm going really on the thicker parts of this. When we push it down, we don't want to put too much because we don't want the glue to come out around the edges. If they do, you could always take a Q-tip. Okay, so I'm going to go right about there. I think I'm pretty good. Just a smidgen down. Okay, and I'm going to push this down. Really cute. Oh, I love the way this came out. Okay, and then I have my W. So he's going to be kind of in line with this bottom there. You could see some of my glue just leaked out there. And a little leak down in here. So just make sure you kind of take notice if anything. It's not the end of the world, but if you want it to be perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to go to my W, and I'm going to put one there, one there, and get one up there. Just a little bit, I'll just tack it on there. It does dry pretty fast. Okay, so make sure my hands are clean. And I think I'm going to go right about there. Maybe a smidgen over. Okay. Push that in. A little bit coming out over here. Not the end of the world, it's clear. Okay, always just touch it up like that. Oh, this looks so cute. I love it. Alrighty. So we are going to put everything aside and put my glue away. Got a little glue on the tablecloth, make sure nothing goes in that. Okay. All right, so now for all my paint over here, I am going to put that in my cup and close this up. Okay, so now we have our bow. So we have a little bit of twine. And we have a scissor. All right, so we're going to take this. And we are going to make a loop with our bow fabric. Okay. I'm going to go a little longer. And your fabric will be already measured out. I'm just using mine right off the spool. I'm going to cut this one. Okay, and I'm pinching it in the middle. Okay. Alrighty. So I have only one color ribbon at home. So in your kit, you'll have 2 different colors if you'd like. So we're going to make another pass of this. Okay, and it's just a loop. Kind of making a crisscross and then coming down with it. And we're going to put that guy in the middle like that. Okay, so it's going to be our bow there. We're going to cut that one. Okay, so we have our bow. And we have a little bit of jute. And we're just going to tie that center. Just pinch it in the middle. Put it down if you want so you can see it. Yep. Now you hear my chocolate lab. He's on the other side of the French doors. All right, and then we're just going to poof that up. And we are going to cut these. So these 2 front ones are going to be a little bit shorter. I'm going to cut up on an angle. I'm going to give it dovetails. And then you're going to cut the other one up on an angle. You have dovetails in that one. And then you're going to do these 2. Scissors do not come in your kit. So you'll need a pair of scissors from home. Okay, so we have our bow. Cute, 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 cute bow. Okay, so we're going to pass that. I'm actually going to put just a smidgen of glue on this. We'll have to just deal with it later. That way it stays. If I go light on it, I'll be able to pluck it off later. Okay, so we're going to, we have the ends of our bow right here. So we're going to put those through the hole, one of them. I can thread it through, there we go. So we're going to put one of those through the hole. You could put it in the middle if you want, but I'm going to go on the side and we're just going to tie. Oops, there's my house that wasn't glued on. Okay. house back up there. Okay, I only put one little dot of glue because I want to be able to pluck it off later. Okay. So then for the rest of it, we have the other hole up there. We can do a double. Oh, there's my chocolate lab. So I'm just going to put a knot at the end here. Okay, and I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to pass this through these holes right here. You could put ribbon through this if you want. You can really put whatever you want. And I'm going to tie it here, just with a little knot. Okay, and I'm going to trim that. Okay, hopefully it'll stay, yep. And then, and you could make this however long you want. It comes with the jute. And then I'm going to pass this through the other hole. So that's the loop that I had knotted, just so that it doesn't roll around on there. And I'm going to tie that nice and tight. And I'm going to make sure that's nice and tight. And I'm going to trim the bow tails here for my knot. So all you're really doing is, you know, putting your jute through the holes and just securing it. That's all. It's nothing, not rocket science or anything. Okay, so we have our finished piece. We have our bow. And we just want to bring that guy down there. Alrighty. So that is our welcome interchangeable 22-inch round. I love it. So don't forget, these can be interchanged. You know, you can put a heart there, whatever you want. My little guy's sliding again. Thank you for watching our video. You can purchase these on our website. You can also, which is uptiquing.com. You can also call the store at 845-744-4400. We'll be happy to help you out over the phone. And we have them in the store. We ship anywhere within the 48 continental United States. And we hope to see you on the next video. Like and share us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you. Bye-bye.